Hey, some time ago, I started thinking, what if people, when they were incarcerated, had other people impersonate them and go on tour with some of the bands? And because they were young men and young punks and skins and stuff, they didn't know what to do, so they complied with the police who said either you do this or this or this or this, and they scared all the young people. And then the adults said, go ahead and go with it. So I got a bunch of conjectures of who would have impostered people in early punk and hardcore bands. And it's basically a bunch of people from Reston, Virginia, where I grew up. When I was a child in Reston, Virginia, they called me Than Vizdos. Now I prefer to go by Nate or Nathaniel because Than means death. And I was called Death most of my life up until 2018 when I made the personal, conscious, chosen choice to go by Nathaniel or Nate. Anyways, please check this out as I explore basically some crazy shit that might not make too much sense to anyone, except for maybe a few people. And then also, additionally, one of them looks like I'm jerking off or touching myself. I'm not. I was sitting here in my t-shirt last night, and then I went to Capitol Hill this morning and made a couple more. Here, check it out. Today is Sunday, April 27th, 2025. And I've been homeless in Washington, D.C. for about 4 years now. And homeless altogether in August, it'll be 6 years. And this is my home city where no hardcores or punks or skins or metalheads or nobody I ever knew or any other kind of people come out to say hello to me. No family neither. So anything I've done it for us. Remember, there's no justice, it's just us. And that's a quote from Roger Moret and Agnostic Front. The people would have knowledge of these ideas that I have of people who filled in for other band members while they were tortured or brainwashed and incarcerated with all these ideas. The people who would be in the know on this, in my opinion, are Ray of Today and Patrick Dubar and quite honestly, Kevin Seconds. Those three people come to mind as who would know for sure and who might have known back then as well because of who their parents are. And I don't know any of these folks except for the kids from Reston who I grew up around who have now left me out to dry and die in DC. I'm making all these conjectures and imaginations about who of the Reston kids when I was coming up would have taken the place of other hardcore band members if they were put into short terms of incarceration with other people taking their place during a few concerts or on the road. As I think about these things, I'm trying to imagine faces of people from back then and what the singers or guitar players of them would have looked like. I had another one. Who was it? I don't know. I knew someone as a child in Reston named Malik Yarborough. If somebody would have jumped in as Tupac from Reston while Tupac did a short amount of time when he was very young, the person who would have imitated Tupac Shakur would have been Malik Yarborough from Reston with the box Philly with the part on the side. Again, all these are conjectures. I sit alone for years wondering what happened to my life and start thinking about strange possibilities of this Reston crowd of children. Hey, if I'm correct, if somebody from Reston, Virginia took the place of Roger Moret of Agnostic Front for a few while Roger was incarcerated, it would have been Nathan Turney from Reston. My name when I was growing up, it's Nathaniel Vizdos, but people call me Than growing up. So Nathan Turney would have been the one who would have played Roger Moret if that was something that happened. If Roger had to do a short amount of time and someone took his place. I hate these thoughts, but if it's true, it might be. And as long as I'm doing this, if anyone had to pretend to be Kerry King of Slayer, it would have been Craig Harmison from Reston. He was a lead guitar player for LDK, Learning Disabled Kids. And then what they would have done is tried to say that it was Gwamper or Justin Burdick who did Kerry King. And then after he grew his dreadlocks, it was also him who imitated Fat Mike. But in reality, it would have been Craig as Kerry King and Tim Barry as Fat Mike before Tim cut off his dreads. Justin, I miss you home, Dick. Love y'all. And fuck you guys from Reston who are dicks. Hey, also, if Perry Farrell had to do some time, short stint so they could brainwash him or fuck him up, the person from Reston, Virginia, who would have been Perry Farrell, it's not Andy or Andrew Schwab, the brother of Matt Schwab. Matt Schwab, I think, would have impersonated King Buzzo for a few shows. This guy's name would have been Adrian Yakub, also known in Reston times as Spaghetti Man. But Adrian Yakub would have fit that profile, although Perry Farrell has eyes more like Andrew Schwab. Dig that. Don't give him a break. It's not okay. Hey, yo, the weirdest thing was the lineup of the band out of Richmond called Avail. Before Tim Barry moved from drums to being the singer, Tim was still the drummer, Joe was the guitar player, Pat Kennedy was on bass, and David Gilligan was singing. So if somebody had to go on tour as a fake band called Avail, and then everybody would give them a break all because they were all the LD kids from Reston, they had to do it. Doug Crosby would have imitated Pat Kennedy on that tour with David Gilligan singing. Think about that. Reston, Virginia. And they'd all turn their back on me. And then I was thinking about NoFX and who could have filled in. There's a guy who could have been playing guitar in place of Eric Melvin in NoFX. He's dead. He overdosed a couple of years ago. His name is Mike Munoz. Mike Munoz was a guitar player for LD Kids, or Learning Disabled Kids. His father did all the cartoon flags for MTV in the early days. And these are people I grew up around and have all turned their backs on me. But Mike Munoz would have been the one to play Eric Melvin or something if Eric Melvin had to do some time. I've already given a theory on who would have been Fat Mike. Hey, so from the Melvins, if King Buzzo ever had to do time when he was starting his band and someone had to come and fill in for King Buzzo while he did time and was his double, it would have been Matthew Schwab. He's a radio man, a disc jockey now in Ocean City, Maryland. He's from Reston, Virginia. His younger brother, Andy Schwab, works with Limelight and TMZ and Mike Tyson. And Matt Schwab would have been King Buzzo while King Buzzo did time. It's terrible. All these fucking kids from Reston. And they said, give them a break. They're all learning disabled. There's a guy well known in punk and hardcore and this new folk music guitar shit, Tim Barry. And I've said before he could have jumped in as somebody from NoFX if they had to do time. Possibly Fat Mike before Tim cut off his dreadlocks as he became singer for Avail. He was the original drummer for LDK, Learning Disabled Kids. But he could have also played Dave Mustaine. So when Dave Mustaine did Peace Sells, Tim Barry always vibed that same Peace Sells, long hair, that same face, It would have been Tim Barry who played Dave Mustaine. I hate to keep going in this direction, but like, if somebody had to play the part of Mike Muir in Suicidal, the singer of Suicidal, for a minute while Mike did some time as a kid or young adult, it would have been Rob Hunt from Reston. And he always liked to pretend he was Mike Muir or vibe that Suicidal, but if anyone had to do that while you were incarcerated, Mike Muir, it was Rob Hunt from Reston. One of them LD kids. Don't give people excuses because they were LD kids. Their children will do the same to anyone. Heartless. You know what's crazy is the singer Tim Barry and guitar player Tim Barry. He had dreadlocks when he became the singer for Avail, when Brian Stewart opted out. And he had short dreadlocks, kind of how Fat Mike used to look in from NoFX. So if Fat Mike, or possibly well, maybe Fat Mike, Tim Barry would, and then when Tim Barry cut his dreads off to be a flat top, it would have been after he did that and he wanted to change his look to hide. It's another one of those things I'm thinking like, hey, what happened? You know, there's a person I know who could have been Flavor Flav in Public Enemy. His name is Kamani Baldwin. And so if somebody had to play Flavor Flav while Flavor Flav did a little bit of time, you know, a couple months, 4 months, and he had to play some shows, it would have been Kamani who imitated Flavor Flav in Public Enemy. So that's something to put in your Don't Know What You Said book. Put that in your Don't Know What You Said book, right? Flav, right, Chuck D? And then also, for Murphy's Law, I don't think Angelo of Fishbone, the saxophone player, was from Reston. He might be from the area here, though, but Angelo would have been the one to impersonate Ray. God bless Ray in heaven. Angelo from Fishbone would have been the one to impersonate Ray, which would be why years ago when I went out to Chief Ike's Mambo Room and I saw Jerry Barrett, who I think Jerry was an impersonator from Reston, also from LD Kids, but he said, oh, HR won't come up here because Angelo's here. Probably because HR knew that Angelo substituted in for Ray of Murphy's Law. Here's what it is. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh group Submachine, old school Pittsburgh hardcore. If somebody would have imitated the singer for Submachine while he was locked up as a young person, it would have been Johnny Bones from Washington, D.C. And Johnny was the old toilet man at the original 930 Club. He's also currently in the band called The Screws, and he does building maintenance in a building about 2 blocks from the White House. He's like a building maintenance manager. He would have been the one to pretend to be him if you were locked up briefly and he took your place for some shows or a brief van tour. Hey, in line with all that stuff, if somebody was sent to jail briefly in the beginning of these musicians' careers, Craig Harmison from Reston, Virginia and LD Kids would have been the one who impersonated Harley Flanagan for the Cro-Mags. That would have been Craig Harmison, right? Because he could have played bass while John Joseph sang. So that would have been Craig Harmison. And I don't think it's okay that they did this stuff, even though they were kids years ago. Don't give them a break because they're going, oh, give them a break, they're LD kids. Nah.
Doors closing. Step back, doors closing.